Hello, everyone. Yes, I waited for the red light.
Oh no! I was gonna let her make a fool of herself again. You know, that's like my secret laugh that I give you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ladies Tale podcast.
Oh my word! I didn't even finish. I just thought it was hello. You should have been like, "Are you going to finish that statement?"
Oh, guess what? I'm Jade, and I won.
Mercy. I'm Winona, and I'm cute.
That
means I went in a whole nother sector. But
you went in a whole nother. You don't win a dancing, no, that's for sure.
Oh,
so if y'all listen to this on the podcast, go on over and see Winona dance. It's hilarious. I love it so much. And that's Winona. Yeah. And we wrote literary life guides, y'all. Actually, we do know stuff about life. It's amazing. Literary life guides with pop poetry, and we like to call them our books, right? So, and I thought the voice was bad with other life lessons, and I thought being grown up with. You showed the wrong book. And I thought being grown up was easy. And if only I knew, all of those are available on audible.com. Get your inspiration while you're walking. Oh, and you can check out some other books that we have, like And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone, or The Women's Cave.
And other pop poems.
All right, so everything your ladies are doing, and probably some of the stuff you don't want to know that we're doing, it's on www.andwethought.com, or you get the really abbreviated version, like the one-page version of it, on where?
andithoughladies.com. You know something, Jen? I just thought about, you know how you used to always say, make that thing about maybe some things that we don't want you to know? I'm thinking that we should probably just take them down.
No! She will go to the thing and try to figure out what we don't want people to know. That's the best part of it all. All right, but y'all aren't here to hear us go on and on about our websites. I mean, we wish you would, but no, you're not here for that. You're here to hear from our wonderful guests, and I mean guests with an ass, y'all, because we have a lot of people in the Ladies' Tale podcast.
Yeah.
Today. I don't know what we're gonna call it. All right, so let's start.
Who would like to introduce himself first? I'm gonna go with a Shellie.
Shellie Schmals, and I guess what I love, and I'm obsessed with cookie dough. I love cookie dough. It's my favorite. Cookie dough on ice cream with white cake icing. Very specific white cake icing is like my favorite treat. And I'm also very obsessed with my dog. His name is Bowser, and he's the best cuddle bug ever.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So cool. Oh, cookie dough with
icing. Yeah. Like I feel like I need to do that. I feel like it's gonna change my life.
So good. I'm bringing in the Instacart order. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, and then we have Emily.
Hi, yes. My name is Emily Rose. And two things that I would like for people to know. I want everyone to know that I'm 29. It turns out I haven't stopped talking about it for a whole week, that I am in my last year of my 20s. And I feel like if I don't document it now, we don't know. Life is fleeting. Things are short. So, hell, I'm 29. Can I say hell?
It's okay. You know what? Absolutely. And COVID, right? We actually learned life can really change in like a moment, right?
Life can change you. Well, I'm 29, and the other thing that I think people should know is, well, if we're gonna keep with the sweetness thing, my favorite sweet is cookie cake, and I haven't gotten one for my birthday for the first time in 10 years. So I'm really like super depressed about it, but I'll be all right.
What's a cookie cake? What is a cookie cake?
A cookie cake? A cookie cake is like, it's like a cookie. This is going to sound like I'm trying to be smart, but I'm not. Like, it's a cookie in a cake form, but it doesn't just, you can't just take any old regular cookie dough and just make a cookie cake. It's like a whole process, apparently. I wouldn't know. I've never made one. But it just tastes a little different. It's a little thicker. It's a little more, it's less sweet than a regular cookie if you don't use like super sweet icing. And yeah, I don't know. I just love a cookie cake, and I love to write words on it. So yeah, it's cookie cake.
I feel like that is definitely going to be a Google search right after this. It's just gonna.
And I was doing so well losing weight.
Well, you know what? It's a pandemic. It's COVID outside. You know, people not gonna see us for at least another 4 months. Like not from the waist up. Like waist down, like they don't see us like 4 months, waist down. All right.
So Royalty.
Going with Royalty.
Hi, I'm Royalty. I would like the world to know that I think the world needs to know that well, I had something else, but I want to really say this now because you were talking about losing weight and like being in COVID, that our bodies are perfect as they are because we exist in them and we're alive, and that's like such a gift. And the second thing that I want people to know is that nature is life's teacher. And to be in nature, get in nature and learn about yourself from being immersed in nature. Like find a way to get in nature if you haven't been in nature in a minute.
I like it. And you know, since we're poets, you know, we're totally on that. We're like, yes, absolutely, do that, yes. We're totally on that. And I'm like, oh, I was writing a poem in my head as you were saying.
Do it.
No, this not your show. This the station.
That's good. So let's start with an easy question. It's an easy two-part question because that's
Winona. That's what she asked.
How did all of you meet, and what got you started working together?
Anyone
who wants to answer can just jump in.
Shellie, do you want to take that? Because
I'll start and then I'll do a handoff. So we are part of Roxy Ross Burlesque Collective, which is out of Atlanta, Georgia. And if you're unfamiliar with burlesque, it is the art of the tease that celebrates both, performance, but also storytelling, and storytelling in multiple forms. Burlesque has a long history of being both provocative and evocative. So performers, they will tell a story through their dance. And yes, there is what we call peeling, which is, stripping of the clothes during burlesque, but that doesn't always happen. And that's really, I think, the thing that kind of brought us together was this love of performing. Roxy Ross began in 2015, and I was the one who launched this the project from having been involved in the improv community and comedy community for years. I was introduced to burlesque probably in like the late aughts, I guess I can say. Aughts, is that the thing? And from there, I realized that was really what I was most happy in a performance medium. I loved both the style and the humor and being able to really just connect with an audience in a very organic way. I've always wanted to, like, for me, my own personal journey is that I always wanted to be a performer, but like, I really can't sing and I really can't dance. And I love to produce and actually do the event planning piece. So that was kind of a natural role that I was able to kind of fall into. But it always was very important to me to surround myself with others who kind of have both their own journeys and also, exciting things that they want to do too. And so through Roxy Ross, I've been able to meet Royalty and Emily, and they'll each tell their own stories. But our focus is really on working with artists and meeting people where they're at and giving people chances and opportunities to perform and just, being able to support the creative community. So I'll stop and I guess I'll toss it to, who wants it, Royal or Emily? I'll toss it to Emily.
Emily?
I'll go next.
Sure.
So I met Royal and Shellie through a friend of mine that I actually had a dream about last night, Luna. She was in my dream last night. It's really crazy. But she was the stage kitten. So I'm the stage kitten for Roxy Ross. The stage kitten is basically kind of like a stage manager. Whenever a performer comes on, and if they choose to peel off their clothes, then I kind of run on and I grab the clothes, or if they have a setup for their act, then I set up the stuff for the act. And so my friend was doing that from high school for Shellie, for Roxy Ross, and I had been wanting to get back into performance, and she said, come to a show. And I was like, cool. And so we went to this place. It's called Star Bar in Atlanta, Georgia, in a park called Little 5 Points. And I went to a show and I fell completely in love. And then I don't know, Shellie, I don't know. I think I went up to you maybe and I was like, I want to do this now. And do you remember? I don't really.
I think it was Luna who said that she had a friend who was interested in getting involved. So we said, come to a show. You came to the show. And then I think it was just afterwards we kind of connected and you're like, I really want to do this. And I said, I really want you to do this. And we just, then by the next show, Emily was kind of stage kittening. I gave her a list and I said, here you go. And she just took it and ran.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm loving the initiative here.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I really wanted to perform, and that was, if you've ever seen a burlesque show, I don't know who has, but you get enticed very quickly, especially just the body positivity, everything that was going on was A1. So yeah, then I started doing shows for Shellie, and then I don't know, it just kind of escalated. I remember meeting Royal. I remember us doing our first show together was like maybe the next show after that, and then don't know, like maybe a few weeks later we were all like, oh, are we all super obsessed with each other? Yes, we are. Okay, great, then let's do this forever. And then that's how it happened.
Oh no, I love it very, very much because Winona and I are best friends, let's just be honest, but are we super obsessed with writing books?
And each other, writing books with each other, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that didn't happen until like 5 years ago. Winona's been writing all of her life, so there we go.
Okay.
I get that story. Royalty.
Yes.
Okay. So I got hooked up with Roxy Ross through a friend of mine that I knew previous to my return to Atlanta, because I left Atlanta to live in Chicago for a few years, and that's where I found burlesque, was in Chicago. And I really immersed myself because I was looking for like theater adjacent things I could do because I was a theater major and wanted to perform. So I came back to Atlanta and was trying to find burlesque people to collaborate with, and not like really succeeding too great with that until my friend Andy hooked me up with Shellie, and she told me about Shellie, and then I ran into Shellie like a week later at a party for the Atlanta Film Festival, because I was working in that industry, and so was Shellie, and so we just kind of were like, oh hey, you're Shellie. Oh, my friend told me about you. Oh, my friend told me about you. Oh, Roxy Ross. Oh, let's work together. Okay. And the rest is history. We've been, doing it ever since. And I was grateful that Shellie and Emily welcomed me so quickly, and that we were able to create a really great Roxy Ross kind of like team. And this is my cat.
Oh, if you listen to some podcast, you have to switch on over to the vlog because you have to see this cat.
Mm-hmm.
Cute.
It just popped up. That's funny.
What you doing now? It's my turn to
It's
talk.
my turn. You're paying too much attention to that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take us totally off subject, right? Because I love Atlanta, and I love Atlanta to eat. So, favorite restaurant in Atlanta, y'all.
No one has a favorite restaurant in Atlanta, Jade.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can give you my like go-to,
Yes.
my like splurge.
Okay.
So my go-to is this place called Fire Pit. It's a pizza and wings like place. I love supporting them because it's queer owned and I'm queer, and I want to, support those kinds of businesses for sure. And my splurge is Kimball House, which is like fancy. They have like oysters and delicious, like, fancy plates. So I like to go there.
I like how you called it.
What are your family?
Please know that I'm gonna write a story and it's seriously going to be called Fancy Plate.
It
It's gonna be
is.
a flashback.
It is.
Fancy Plate.
Can't help it. Can't help it. Anyone else?
I can go.
Sure.
My initial reaction was My Kitchen. Okay. but then I decided I can probably shout some places out. For me, it's about like what kind of cuisine are you looking for? I like to like divide things up. So my favorite thing to get, like Emily was, or like Royal, my favorite thing, like Royal was saying, to get is oysters. And the Optimist, I did like a whole like category thing where I split it up based on price, value, drink specials, happy hour, and all of that. And the Optimist came out on top. It's on the west side. They have, but they're also a splurge place for sure. Like they are not like a cheap place, but you can get really good oyster deals there, better than anywhere else in Atlanta. The oyster deals at the Optimist are the best, but their like cuisine, like their regular dinner menu, is very expensive.
You need to write this down. So
I know.
Fire pit.
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay.
And Fire Pit's also very good for pizza, by the way.
I'm just saying, I have this recording, so I'll just play the podcast when I'm in Atlanta, and I'll be like, this is where I'm going.
Here we go. And so, yeah, just write it down, because like if you, it depends on what you're looking for, because y'all mentioned, we do have really great food here. It's like you need to know what you're looking for and you can go find it. And so I think that that's probably my favorite. And then other than that, I mean, it gets stressful. It gets difficult depending on what you're looking for. But I do love Fire Pit Pizza, and I do love Jack's Pizza still, even though it's like kind of outdated. It's not like the most fashionable place, but like it's a great pizza place, and so is Edgewood Pizza. So I like pizza.
So I'm loving all of these suggestions.
I'm loving it. Loving it.
There's a couple that I think for me, I'm still so easy when it comes to food. Like I wish I was more of a foodie, but I'm like, we're so like, it just never came to me. But there's a Vortex where I love their burgers. Where did you used to work, Emily? What was the barbecue kitchen?
Me? Okay,
Yeah.
so I wasn't gonna shout them out because we have a little bit of a sordid past.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
No,
well,
it's
we
okay.
don't have to.
No,
We
I'm
can say
just
another
joking.
Brussels sprouts.
I'm being so facetious. They are Sweet Auburn BBQ, and they're so good. They're so good. Their barbecue is so great.
We're going there. I'm so sorry that you haven't asked with them, because I'm going there first. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm not being loyal.
But yeah, okay, so royalty, like she lived in Chicago, which we go there and eat all the time. Well, not recently, but we do order like Taste of Chicago. We like to eat Chicago, and I'm like, how did you move from Chicago to like to Atlanta? Like that is life. Like two great food places.
But let's get back on topic.
Back on topic.
Wait, does someone have something to say before we get back on topic?
No. Okay. No.
Okay. So let's get back on topic. So this art form that you all enjoy, I hear it's very empowering for women. Can you tell us how it's empowering for women? Because there's an argument that it's not.
I'll take that one. If that's cool with Emily and Shellie, which I think it is. Okay. So it is empowering for women. And I would say that the word women includes trans women, non-binary people, and a lot of general categories of people who are marginalized, because burlesque is born from oppression. Burlesque would not exist if people like women, queer people, Black people, all of these isms of people weren't being oppressed, because it was a way for them to express how they were feeling, because they couldn't use like their own physical person, like because they couldn't hold jobs, positions of power, do a lot of the things that the white man could do. So they started performing and making a parody of what was happening in their lives. And a lot of what was happening when burlesque first started was the censorship of the woman's body, and that still exists a lot in our culture today and all over the world. So when burlesque started, people were really just showing their wrists and their ankles, and that was scandalous. And it moved to a more, started showing their underwear and like the can, girls, were they wearing underwear? Were they not? No one really knows because it's a tale, but who knows? And eventually we get to the point to where we're taking off all of our clothes and having it be this very like postury, prim and proper and walk and pose kind of showboating, like show pony kind of thing. And I think that the commodification of burlesque as it exists in a lot of popularized media can be seen as like not very feminist because it's appealing to the male gaze specifically. And that's, to me, not the burlesque that I'm speaking for Roxy Ross, but me and what I do and how I want to collaborate and create don't necessarily subscribe to. We do burlesque because it's a form of expression from oppression, not to commodify it for the male gaze. So I think that it's not black and white in that specific argument because, like most things in America and all over the world, capitalism, prevails and things get bought up and snatched from the people that it belongs to. And that unfortunately happens with burlesque. But at its core, it is an expression from oppression, and it's all about freedom and sticking it to the patriarchy, like just reveling in your empowerment as it comes to you, because it's an ongoing process. I think we're always going to be learning more and more about who we are and what we can do and how we can succeed and thrive. And burlesque is a tool to help us do that. And if that's not feminist and if that's not empowering, then I don't know what is.
Anyone else?
Can I add on to what she was saying?
Absolutely. Sure. This is y'all's show.
To me, it's also a really reflective art. So what we do is reflective in who receives it. And what I've received from what we've done a lot of the time is, and I'm being very real. I'm being very like candid. I'm not trying to like put any, it's like, wow, I didn't know that women of this, first of all, I didn't know, because we think of, so a lot of people, when they think of burlesque, think of mainstream, which tends to be white women, white cis women. Dita Von Teese is a good example, I think, of what people think. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Dita Von Teese is kind of what people think of. And when they come to not just Roxy Ross shows, but other burlesque shows in the city, they see someone who is of a different body type, of a different color, of a different, I don't want to say like, it's just like the music is different. Like, it's not like everybody is expressing themselves in a very genuine way, which is not what you expect from burlesque, because you expect something, I guess, super polished. Like, especially if you're going to a live performance, you're like, oh, well, this is theater. Well, it is theater, and theater can be completely like out of control. Theater can be whatever it is. Go to an improv show, that stuff. Go to an improv show, that stuff is a lot of times wild, but in a completely different way. And I think that a lot of people have a either weird or negative understanding of what burlesque is, when it really is positive. And so that's why I say that it's reflective, because what you receive from it is very much what it is. What you take from a burlesque performance any performance, any individual performer or troupe's performance or anything is really as it stands. And I think that a lot of what we do here in Atlanta, not just us, but a lot of other Atlanta performers really put on stuff that is body positive, expressive, diverse, reflective of the city. I hope a lot of the time. Sometimes it's not, because white cis women do dominate sometimes, a lot of the time, that realm. But I hope that people come to Atlanta and they see something a little different, at least.
And Shellie has her hand up.
Oh, well done. I love that. So proper.
I know. And I saw it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just want to add that I feel like burlesque is unapologetically proud. For some reason, like that came to me as like Royal was talking and Emily was talking. We are just a community that's proud of what we do, and everything from from the mediums that we choose, from the dances and how we decide to dance, to the music that's selected. You'll see not only in Atlanta, but it's, I think, an international movement that there's Afro-lesque that are all Black and POC shows. There's a show here in Atlanta called Fatlanta, which is body positivity. There's Queerlesque, Queerly Beloved is a collective here that is, well, it has performed here in Atlanta, is kind of, I guess, bi-coastally based now, but that's performed in Vegas for a queer film and TV, networking event. So I feel like it's here, it's loud, and it's very diverse. So to me, that's kind of when I think of like burlesque as a community. And it mixes very well with, all different types of art forms too.
I've heard a lot of different art pieces that you've mentioned. There's theater, arts about choosing the music and about dance. So that makes me wonder, do you have other artistic pursuits in your past? Like, I know Royalty said theater. And if you did have other artistic pursuits, how have they helped you in this career?
I can just talk on mine briefly, because mine were I'm more of like a connect to the dots person. So I sometimes will tell Royal, I'll get these like huge ideas that I want to do, but I have to either scale them down, or sometimes I just need to get them out and try and be a unicorn, and then it's just done. But I love really bringing people together. So for me, I feel like my biggest asset to an art form is being able to kind of curate and produce and implement. Because that's, to me, an art form in itself. We can have there's so many different kinds of creatives on the spectrum. And I'm not that kind of creative that I can't draw. For me to put because I wanted to be that 6th grade fashion designer. So I would like try and draw dresses. No, that's not where my talent is. My talent is actually being able to bring something, like basically creating something from nothing, and making an event happen with a collective of people and a team. But like I think I'm very good at kind of moving things forward and kind of making it a process that people feel good about being a part of. So I'll let that stand.
Thank you for that. I mean, and without a producer, where would we be, right? Where would creators be without the person that tells you?
Say that.
Right? Because without the person that tells you, Winona is my producer, right? She'll be like, oh, that's cute. We're not spending that money on that because this is the budget.
We can scale it down.
We can scale it down. But where would we be without that? We wouldn't be anywhere. So thank you. You're very, very useful. Thank you.
So what other jobs did you do this for beforehand? And then I swear that's the last question. I'm gonna add to that question.
Yeah.
Well, you just and then I want Emily. Yeah, then I'll let Emily and Royal speak.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bit like my background. I've been 25 years in nonprofit and arts management. I currently work for the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. I'm film programming manager there. But I really kind of cut my teeth in the nonprofit communal service world. So I work with teens. I worked with young professionals. I've also done everything from marketing fundraising, you know, press to logistics for events, to booking, like almost every single facet of what it takes, you know, because a lot of nonprofits I worked for, it was just like a one and done operation. We were a very small team and you kind of did everything. So that's, you know, I kind of learned all those steps along the way. Like I can literally say every single job, I've had some different takeaway that's helped to build upon my skills, that it's a transferable skill set. So once you can kind of make that to-do list, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I can take that to-do list or those type of actions and kind of like implement them into any scenario.
Thank you so much, Emily. Royalty. Emily or Royal, would you like to add?
I'll go because I mean, Royal has a more extensive background than me. I don't have a whole lot of background in performance, but I was in when I was young, like a little kid, I did a lot of acting and singing, and I was in choirs and stuff like that. So I have a pretty extensive background in singing until college. Well, until sophomore year of college. And then, but I always hated singing and I always loved acting. And I never got really good at acting. And it kind of was a bummer. But then I realized like being on stage is so fun and you just do it more and you get better at it. So that's what my background was like coming into it. And then I worked at Hooters, and then because I thought that Hooters was going to be like my job. I went to Hooters and I was like, this is going to be my performance job. And then it was while I was working at Hooters that I met up with Shellie and them, and I was like, okay, so I can actually like perform and I don't have to like do this with the tights and everything. Cause I don't know if you guys know about Hooters, but you got to wear tights. It's a whole thing. Have straight hair. I couldn't have curly hair. It was a whole thing. It was a bummer. But anyway, so yeah, but Royal has a much more detailed history than me. So
my work background, you know, I have a degree in theater, but I've mostly worked in childcare. But I think that being a theater major who has done a lot of childcare, I have learned how to have compassion for myself and others. And when it comes to collaborating and when it comes to doing something like burlesque, you really have to have compassion, because burlesque is going to open you up, whether you like it or not. And it's going to show you parts of yourself, either as a performer or as a spectator or someone working with burlesque. It's going to show you something that you didn't know about yourself or that you didn't know about someone else, which when I say, I didn't know that about you, or I see this in you, I like to see that as a mirror, as I see that in myself. That's why I'm saying it to you. So when I perform and when we're curating and collaborating, I want it to feel united and very like, you know, we're here for each other, because I think a lot of us didn't get that when we were studying theater, when we were raised in our families, or whatever experiences we have. I think we can all come together and say at one point in time, we didn't feel supported by the people who we thought were supposed to support us. And I want burlesque and what Roxy Ross does and what I do to be that support, to be that place where you can come and be like, I want to try this thing. And we'll be like, fuck yeah, or heck yeah, excuse me. So yeah, I do have an extensive like theater and childcare background that has helped me be able to have compassion and adapt, and improvise, and really just kind of the show must go on kind of attitude, but in a very like non-threatening way.
So I guess I do have a question though. Because of COVID, how has that impacted your performances, and also what have you done to overcome? that impact? Wait, did that make sense?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Yay! I made sense.
Well, I'll say the first thing that we did was we canceled our shows. That was basically the first impact. We had a very ambitious 2020 season where, you know, we had kind of a residency at a local theater in East Point where we were going to do burlesque and live music every other month, and it was a community project. We also had a very ambitious smaller show that was going to be more intimate, more interactive, where performers would be really interacting with the audience, and it just became very clear very quickly that that wasn't going to happen. So after we canceled our shows, the first thing that we did was really we reached out to our performers because we wanted to support them first and foremost. So with people in our collective, and we wanted to uplift them and amplify their, you know, their needs. And so we put together a tip jar. And for a while, we were featuring these different performers and really showcasing them through our Roxy Ross channel. You know, you know, I guess their tip, like to get tips. I don't know what I'm saying. It's late. It's Friday, but that was really important for us to be able to support our performers that we were. That was the first thing, and then I think we just kind of sat back and listened. You know, I mean, it's been a very like, you know, socially volatile atmosphere. You know, just in general, where who even, you know, to try and navigate the you know, the online universe of performing, let alone everything that's happening in our midst. Like, you know, we also, the three of us kind of came to a point too to set and to kind of say like, where do we go from here? And so that, you know, that's kind of, you know, how can we also amplify, you know, our Black performers and friends that we work with and what we can do. And so we kind of also, you know, decided that any, you know, any venues that we work with, we also want to be able to, you know, that we want to kind of, when we're able to, this all feels like it's out in the universe and space because we haven't been able to book shows, but when we do book shows, we are going to be booking them with our, you know, Black friends and Black performers in mind, and giving that space to a producer who may not have had that opportunity to meet that person. So, and it's not, you know, with like nothing to gain on our end or anything like that, but just, yeah, I'll let Royal kind of speak a little bit next too.
Okay,
Royal?
you were doing a great job. Yeah, we just want to make sure that what we're receiving as a collective that is ran by three cis white women, that we're also providing, are using that privilege to provide that space for people who have to, people who struggle with under the patriarchy and under capitalism that serves, you know, the white man. You know, that's how we can build community together, is making sure that we're holding hands when we get there. So that's kind of where we're at. And it's been difficult, you know, just with COVID and not knowing what the best course of action is, how to proceed. So it feels like we're on a hiatus, you know, like it feels like a lot of things have just kind of stopped. I've personally been able to really reflect on what my burlesque means to myself and to the people that are seeing it. And I'm grateful for that opportunity that COVID provided for that, silver lining. And when we are able to perform again, I really look forward to how we can grow as a collective and how we can build the community around inclusiveness and intersectionality, and how we can change. We can change. I know we can change the world with burlesque because I have been changed with burlesque. And I've seen people be changed with burlesque. And burlesque meaning burlesque, sideshow arts, comedy, vaudeville, music, all of it. Taking the community and saying, let's work together, let's tell a story, and let's make sure that we're all really getting our needs met and that we're all playing well together, because that's what feels good. You know, we're meant to take care of each other as humans, and I want to make sure that whenever we do stuff as Roxy Ross, that's our intention, is to make sure we're taking care of each other. And I think COVID, again, silver lining, helped us see that. So not that we weren't doing that before, we've always been very community minded, but yeah, it's really, really intentional now.
Yeah, COVID has given people time to reflect, and now you hear a lot of creative, you hear a lot of business people, they're making moves, but with intention now. Like I was doing it before because everyone was telling me, but now I've ordered my steps, and now I'm doing it with intention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Emily, anything to add?
I don't have much to add about. I mean, I agree. It does feel like we've been on a hiatus. I think that we had to stop. I think we had to reflect. I think that we had to reflect on some of the things I was saying earlier about how burlesque is perceived. Again, the reception of burlesque. Like, what do you think of when you think of burlesque? Well, you think of a bunch of white ladies, like, basically stripping, but not really. And then what is stripping and what's the difference? And I have a friend, a very close friend, who used to work at the Pink Pony, and she's mixed. And when I got into burlesque, she was not thrilled, to say the least. She thought that we were doing the cheap way, the less hard way of getting into stripping. And we've had conversations since, and not that it makes it different, not that it changes anything, but I think that the perception is very much like this is a white dominated world that is like kind of annoying and irritating, and people like it, but what do we do about it? So I think that we took some time to figure out what do we do about it. And I think that we're still working through that. As far as how COVID has affected us, like COVID just like as a disease has been wild, because I'm wondering how are people going to receive live performance from now on, because people are like, oh, I can't wait to go back to concerts. And I'm like, concerts? Are you kidding? Like, I can't even perceive a concert. I can't even imagine a concert. But no, I think that live performance is probably going to come back, and I think that it's going to come back in a big way. I think that it just is about the people that are shaping it. Like, what are the conversations we're having around it? Live performance, burlesque was already kind of hard for people to understand. And so I think that it's our job to make people understand, or to educate people, not make people, but educate people on how it goes. So also, so sorry, my cat has been destroying my house because I was gone for like a week. And so if I'm sorry.
Well, that's life.
Yeah.
That's cat life right there. They destroy your house.
You're
like
not here?
You're not here. Oh, everything.
Disdain.
I'm a disdain for that. So I wanted to ask, where can people find out more about your shows, or actually more about burlesque in general, your social media? Where can they follow you, support you? How can they do this? We'll start with Shellie.
Well, we all so all three of us, Emily, myself, and Royal, we all have our Instagram accounts that you could find us at. And I'll just say two things also to brag on Royal and to brag on Emily. Emily just started her own podcast called WTF Knows with Emily Rose. Yeah, it's something like that. But yeah, she started her own podcast, and it's amazing. And so, Emily, I'm plugging you right now with your podcast. I'm bragging on you, and she can't hear me yet. But yeah, oh no, it's okay. I'm bragging on you and your podcast. And then Royal is also and she's got another project coming up, and she also is an amazing teacher as well. She's a great, not only just dance, like burlesque teacher, but also movement teacher. And she's worked with some really prominent places in Atlanta. Dad's Garage, she's the burlesque, I'll call her burlesque professor, because that's what I want you to be. You're a burlesque professor over at Dad's Garage Improv Comedy. And, she has taught, and so Emily and Royal, each in their own right, have, wonderful endeavors going on. With Roxy Ross in general, you can find us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, probably Instagram most, and Twitter. Probably not Twitter so much, but definitely Instagram and Facebook.
Emily, do you want to plug your own podcast and tell people where they can listen to it?
It's a little inappropriate, the name.
Oh, WTF.
WTF, yes.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's Who TF Knows with Emily Rose. Mostly I recap Bravo shows. I don't know if you guys care about Bravo. I watch a lot of Bravo shows, a lot of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of everything. And then also I've been getting really into the early aughts. So I have a couple of episodes about Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, and then the most recent episode is about Jen Shaw. If you watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I did an episode about Jen Shaw. So yeah, you can find me at Emilia Gogo on Instagram, and then Who TF actually is how you spell it. Who TF Knows with Emily Rose on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher.
Yes, thank you so much.
Royalty.
I am on Instagram mostly because I keep getting kicked off of everything else. I'm currently banned on Facebook, and I'm okay with that. Instagram is fine for me. That's enough. So you can find me on Instagram at Emily D. That's EMILYDEE is royalty, and that's ROYALTEE. And on Sunday, I'm starting a series on Instagram Live called Fritz, which stands for Feminists Raised in the South, like girls raised in the South, but with a feminist, little twist there. And I'm just going to be talking with people, some friends who I know and that are willing to have this conversation with me about being raised in the South as queer, as feminist. And I was raised in a conservative home, so it's in a religious home too, and I'm not conservative or religious. So just kind of talking about our journey, and I went to a private Baptist college and private Baptist school, and everything was very indoctrinated into me, and it's taken me a long time to kind of get out of that. So I know that resonates with a lot of people that I know that want that outlet of we need to talk about these things, because in the South, everything is ignored, and that's where the ignorance comes from. In the South, when you think of the South and you think of racism and ignorance, it's because everything is ignored. So I'm gonna, not ignore it and talk about it and see what happens. And I'm really scared because I know I'm gonna make some mistakes, but I'm looking forward to, learning and growing and having these discussions. So that's exciting.
When you start something new, then it's so exciting.
You're always going to make mistakes when you start something new, right?
Yes.
Always. Well, thank you all so much for coming on and joining us today. We learned a lot. Didn't we learn a lot?
We learned so much.
We learned so much. So y'all check them out. Follow them on Instagram
or show up and hear their podcasts or shows, or check the Instagram of the actual show.
Right.
Show.
So do that. All right, so I'm just go ahead and wrap us up. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.angelrethought.com. While you're there, take a moment, go to the ladies tab, go to the middle, and see the charities that we proudly support. Maybe you can support them also. If you want all of this information just very, very condensed, where can they go, Winona?
www.andithoughtsladies.com.
Fabulous. Just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona
and Jade. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, thanks for listening.